Just as a quick rundown, what the hospital district does is we provide indigent health care and we run the ambulance system in Montgomery County. The indigent health care is about 1/4 of our budget. The ambulance system now is almost the other 2/3 of our budget. That's pretty inclusive because we do a bunch of other stuff too besides just run the ambulances. But those are the bigger items. My background, I'm a chemical engineer. I joined Shell in 1960 when I got out of college from Berkeley. I worked on research projects. I worked on plant operations. I worked on design of chemical plants. I ended my career in engineering construction where I built designed multi-million-dollar chemical plants throughout the United States and overseas. At the same time, I joined the Army National, by the way, I got to Texas by Shell in 1974. I ain't going back to California, okay? At the same time, I joined the Army National Guard when I was 17 years old as a private. I retired 35 years later as a colonel in the Army Reserve. So I did two things at the same time. Besides having a wife of 52 years, my sweetheart, we have 2 children, 5 grandchildren. One of the daughters lives here in Texas, the other one lives in Utah. On the board, when I joined the board in 2006, our tax rate was about 13.5 cents per hundred. It is now down to less than 7 1/4. We've brought it down every year since I've been on the board. I plan on doing that going forward if I stay on the board. Even though the tax rate goes down, our costs go up because the county doubled in population. No question about that. And our budget's gone from like $25 million now to $40 million. Now in that budget, we get $30 million in tax money. The ambulance system collects about $10 million from income back from transporting people to their insurance and direct pay. So that's our $40 million budget, which we manage. For that, the healthcare system costs have gone from $12 million down to less than $8 million. That's probably because we reduced the people on the rolls, because we made sure that they meet the qualifications of legal residents in Montgomery County. We also have gotten from 50% generic drugs to almost 94% generic drugs for the people, but reduce our costs significantly, reduce your costs significantly. And we have, unlike Harris County, made sure that when people are qualified for Obamacare, they get off your rolls and sign up for Obamacare. So you don't pay that burden, they have to pay that burden. Harris County leaves them on their rolls. Don't ask me why they do it. I know the way, they have a hospital. We do not have a hospital. The ambulance system we have is the best in Texas. Was awarded that last year for 2013. We expect to get that to 2014. And is rated #1 to #3 in the nation through national surveys for the last several years. So you have the best ambulance system in the nation. We get there because the hospital board makes sure that we hire people to run the system properly. We have a CEO who manages the system. The board doesn't manage it. We set the policy, the budget. He's the one that manages the system to make sure that we achieve those kinds of results. And as a board member, I anticipate we're going to continue doing those same things. I'm a chemical engineer, as I said. The projects I've been on, I've always brought in on time and under budget. The hospital district, we're going to maintain those budgets and do the same thing going forward. That's my history, that's my background, that's what I've done, that's what I've done on the hospital district board, and that's what I expect to continue going forward, so that we continue to reduce the tax rate, so that our growth and cost do not exceed the growth and cost of Montgomery County. Its population. So those are going to go up, there's no question about it. An ambulance station costs about $1 million to get going, and then the cost of people going forward. We have almost 300 people on the staff right now. 200 and some odd are EMTs, EMS and as the population grows, a crew is 2 people plus part of a supervisor, and that's 24 hours a day coverage, so that's like, you know, one job is equivalent to 4.5 people per job, if you will. So our, you know, people costs are very expensive. Going forward, we do not know what Obamacare is gonna do for us, other than right now we've got to be able to kick people off the roll. Shouldn't say it. We've removed people from your roles and put them onto the healthcare system, so they have to pay their own insurance. We don't know what Obamacare is gonna do for us. My experience in designing plans and things like that allows me the ability to, on the board side, to make sure that we look at policies and think outside the box to make sure we do the right thing for you guys, to make sure that we're gonna go forward and get the best advantage we can out of it. For example, you heard a few weeks ago that Walmart's not gonna provide insurance for their part-time workers anymore. One of our policies are that if you are eligible for insurance for your employer, you or your spouse, you're not eligible for health care from cost from you. You could have paid that money and got that insurance. When Walmart pulls that away from them, I expect that some of those people are gonna come back to us and say, I am now indigent and I need health care, and we'll have to work that. We have money in the budget to take care of that, but, you know, going forward, we have to continue to work to try to manage the system and make sure that how we do it is the best cost for everybody in the county. On fiscal conservative, I'm probably the most fiscal conservative on the board. If you go back and listen to the audio tape from the last 8 years I've been on the board, you'll see I'm the one that's always arguing about there's too much money over here, let's take it out of the budget and get that down. Maybe it's only a penny or half a penny, but it's still significant, because with Montgomery County's tax rate, those pennies add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars a year that we save you guys to spend how you want to do it, not how I want to do it. And I'll close with one last thing. We have a new building. We've been in it for like 2.5, 3 years now. I am the only guy that on the board that voted against that twice. The other board members that were on the board didn't. They voted for it. It was 4-3 vote the first time, and a 6-1 vote the second time. The reason we brought that vote up, though, was because the new building had gotten too expensive and was well outside what we wanted to do. And that's the kind of thing I plan on doing, is fighting the waste of taxpayer dollars. And that's what I think I'm going to continue to do, what I'd like to continue to do for you going forward. Now, having said that, while he's passing the hat, let me give you election dates. Okay, good. The election is going to be on, and I'll send Luke a copy of this so he has it on but the election is going to be on Wednesday, December 10th. Okay? We're going to have 6 voting sites in the county, and they are the primary 6 that you've had before, Montgomery County, da-da-da-da. On election day, you have to vote in your polling precinct election site, and that's a long list, I'm not going to read it. Before election day, early voting is going to be December. I'm reading this because the board just decided on this tonight. I was not at that session. I recused myself from that discussion because it affects me.
Here's another 5.
First early voting is December 1st, it goes to December 4th, and December 5th and 6th. And those are the same 6 early voting sites. You can vote any place that day. 8 to 5 the first 4 days, and then 7 to 7 the last 2. But the election date on the 10th is a Wednesday, which is an odd day. And the only reason I can think of that is because that's the earliest we could have it after having the election on the day we have it. And I'll email that to Luke so he has all of it.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you very much. So the last thing that I just want to briefly mention is that this is our last regular meeting that we will have this year that is going to have speakers and heavy